The rain had already started when Emma pulled into the driveway that night. The sound of the drops hitting the windshield was soft but steady, like a rhythm that wouldn't stop. She wasn't supposed to be home early. The conference in Chicago had been cancelled because of a storm, and she hadn't told anyone she was coming back, not even Noah, her husband of 7 years. She smiled a little at the thought of surprising him. Maybe they'd cook dinner together, maybe watch one of their old movies, maybe things would feel normal again. For weeks, there had been a quiet distance between them, a silence that followed them from room to room. She'd blamed work stress, late nights, and the kind of exhaustion that turns love into routine. When she opened the front door, the lights in the living room were dim, the air faintly perfumed with wine and something sweet, roses, maybe. Her heels clicked softly against the wooden floor as she set down her bag. From the corner of her eye, she noticed the second wine glass on the table. It wasn't hers. Her heartbeat quickened. She told herself it was nothing, maybe a neighbor, maybe one of Noah's friends from work. But then she heard a laughter, a woman's laughter, low and playful, coming from upstairs. For a second, Emma couldn't move. The sound felt unreal, as if it belonged to some other house, some other life. She walked up the stairs quietly, one step at a time, her pulse hammering in her ears. The bedroom door was half open, a thin strip of warm light spilling into the hallway. She stopped there, and through that narrow gap, the world she knew came undone. Noah was sitting on the edge of the bed, shirt half unbuttoned, his hand brushing against a woman's hair. Emma didn't recognize her. She was young, probably from his office, her laughter softer and careless. The sound twisted something deep inside Emma. She didn't remember dropping her purse. She didn't remember the sound it made when it hit the floor. But Noah turned suddenly, his face paled, his eyes wide. "Emma," he began. But the words didn't come. The woman froze. Emma could barely breathe. There was a long, terrible silence, the kind that feels like it lasts a lifetime. Then, quietly, she said, "Please, don't." Her voice was calm, too calm. She turned and walked back down the stairs, her legs shaking but steady enough to keep her upright. Outside, the rain was heavier. She sat in her car, hands trembling against the steering wheel, trying to remember how to breathe. She wanted to scream, to cry, to break something, but instead she just stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. She looked almost like a stranger. Her phone buzzed, his name lighting up the screen. She didn't answer. Hours passed. She drove aimlessly through the empty streets, rain blurring the world into streaks of silver and shadow. She ended up at the old diner they used to visit when they were younger, the one with the flickering neon sign and the coffee that always tasted slightly burned. She sat in their usual booth, ordered nothing, and just stared at the window, remembering the first time he told her he loved her, the night they promised each other forever, the quiet mornings that used to feel like peace. When she finally went home, the lights were still on. Noah was waiting in the living room, his face drawn, eyes red. "Ma," he started, his voice breaking. "It wasn't it didn't mean." She held up her hand. Please don't insult me with excuses." He looked down, his shoulders shaking. "I messed up," he whispered. "I know I did. I don't even have the right to ask you to listen." "Then don't," she said, her tone flat but trembling. "You made your choice." She went upstairs and packed a small bag. Nothing dramatic, just what she needed for a few days. He followed her, silent except for the sound of his breath. "Ma, please," he said quietly, "it wasn't supposed to happen." "I don't even know why." "You don't know why?" she snapped, turning to face him. "You kissed another woman in our bed and you don't know why." He flinched at the word "our." The anger drained from her almost as quickly as it came, replaced by a crushing sadness. "You could have told me you weren't happy," she whispered. "You could have told me you wanted something else, but you didn't. You just let me keep loving you." That night, she left. She drove to a small hotel near the coast, where the ocean wind carried the smell of salt and rain. She didn't sleep. She watched the waves crash against the rocks, thinking about how love could change, how it could be everything one moment and nothing the next. She thought about the woman's laughter, about Noah's face when he saw her, about the life they had built like a house of glass, fragile, beautiful, and easy to break. Days turned into weeks. Noah called every day at first, then less often. He sent messages, apologies, promises, memories. She didn't reply. Her friends told her she should file for divorce, that once trust is gone, love doesn't survive. She wanted to believe that, but sometimes, at night, she still heard his voice in her dreams, the one that used to say her name like it was something sacred. One afternoon, she went back to their house to collect her things. It felt different, colder, emptier. The scent of roses was gone. Noah was there, sitting on a couch, holding an old photo of them from their wedding. He didn't say anything when she walked in. She packed quietly, the silence between them heavy but not hostile. When she turned to leave, he finally spoke. "I haven't stopped loving you," he said softly. She paused at the door. "Love isn't the problem, Noah. It's what you did with it." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I know. I think about that every day. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know it wasn't about her. It was about me being a coward." She looked at him, really looked at the man she'd shared a life with, the man who had broken her heart but still somehow felt like home. "Cowardice isn't love," she said. "I know," he whispered, "but maybe forgiveness is." She didn't reply. She laughed, closing the door gently behind her. Months later, Emma moved into a small apartment downtown. She started painting again, something she hadn't done in years. Her life became quieter, a morning coffee by the window, evening walks by the river, the kind of stillness that once frightened her but now felt healing. Every now and then, she'd see Noah around town, at the grocery store, once at a friend's gathering. They spoke politely, like people who shared a history but not a present. There was no anger left, only the soft ache of something that used to be whole. Then one autumn evening, she received a letter. No envelope, just a folded page left at her doorstep. It was his handwriting. "Greater than I don't know if you'll read this. I don't deserve even that, but I wanted to thank you for the years you gave me, for the kindness you showed even when I didn't. You were my best part. I hope someday you find peace, even if it's not with me." She read it twice, then set it down by the window. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and dread. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she didn't feel pain, only acceptance. Weeks later, she saw him again, by chance, at the old diner where they used to go. He looked older, tired, but when he saw her, he smiled. Not the desperate smile of a man seeking forgiveness, but the quiet one of someone who finally understood. She smiled back. They didn't speak, but in that small exchange, something lifted the weight of everything unsaid, everything broken. She walked out into the evening air, the city humming softly around her. The past didn't vanish, but it stopped hurting. Love, she realized, doesn't always mean forever. Sometimes it means letting go with grace, remembering what was good, and trusting that the future can still be kind. As she crossed the street, she looked up at the fading sky and whispered, "Thank you, Noah." Not because she missed him, but because she finally forgave him and herself. The rain started again, gentle this time, washing the city in silver light. Emma smiled and walked on, no longer running from her past, but walking toward her tomorrow, a lighter, stronger, and free.